If you have your circle in line and you have really strong, positive, great people in your life, I commend you. That's incredible. But for the people who are realizing that none of their relationships in their life are reciprocated, I came from that. And as you start changing, people don't like change at all. And I call it selfish sacrifice because, like I said, you come to a point where you're like, okay, are you willing to sacrifice all of you for others? Or are you willing to sacrifice some people and some things to live the life you deserve? You have to ask yourself that question. Not everybody has to go. But for me, I did the math, and 95% of the people that were in my life 2 years ago are not anymore.
Is it selfish to not be selfless? That's our topic today. My guest, Katie Kaufman. She is the author of Selfish Bitch, and she's bringing us today how to be in your power and how to grow from being a supporter to being a powerful champion of others while also being a champion for yourself. Welcome to the show, Katie. How are you?
Good. I am great. Thanks for having me, Miss Maureen.
Okay, so let's right to it. Is it your journey? Is it selfish not to be selfless?
I mean, to that question, selfish not to be selfless. I mean, no. You have to have a degree of selfishness in order to be selfless. Like they go hand in hand, and you have to. Over the last couple of years, like when I kind of embraced that, I think I was so afraid to be called selfish. But the general essence of being selfish doesn't necessarily have to have anything negative connected to it unless you yourself make it that. And so when I was like, no, like you have to be selfish in order to put yourself first, because I wasn't being the best me that I could for everything I was doing or everything I was doing for what I was doing for other people when I wasn't filling my cup up first. And so you almost do people a disservice by not being first selfish, because then you're not creating the best version of yourself for anything that you do or anyone that you do it.
I'm purposing this to say that, yes, put your first. I don't know. Otherwise, if your cup is empty, what do you have to give for others? Right? The book, the story. Tell us the tagline. You say it, because I'm excited to hear you say your title of your book. And then why did you decide to write the book?
Yeah, so the title of the book is You Selfish Bitch, Cracking the Code from the Inside Out. And the reason why I went with You Selfish Bitch is I have spent my entire life, Miss Maureen, hiding behind the curtains and being the background to everybody else's success story, that if I was going to come out in the spotlight, I was going to be heard. So instead of just saying titling the book like, I'm going to be selfish now, or like just selfishness, it needed to be bold and it needed to be brilliant and it needed to catch attention, because if I'm going to finally pull myself out here for everybody to see, I damn well was going to make sure that I was going to get the attention for it. Because that was a lot of internal work that I had to do to get to that point. And then cracking the code from the inside out is because I truly felt like it comes from within. Nobody else is going to tell you what you want with your life. Nobody else is going to tell you how to get there. Nobody else is going to have your best interest at heart as much as you are. And like I said, most of my transformation happened from within. Before anybody could see any of the outward changes that I was making, there was a lot of internal battles that I had to face head on and squash and overcome before I could start becoming this person that others would start to notice. So when I started this journey, that's why I titled it that. And I wrote a book because I have always just wanted to. It sounds so simple, but we do, and we set all these things that at one point in life or another, we really wanted to do something, and we just don't do it because we don't do it. And that's what it was. I made a list of things that I wanted to do in my life that I had never accomplished, and writing a book was one of them. And when I found myself writing down these list of items of things that I just never did, I'm like, how did I let myself not do these things? Like, how do you get to a point where you have this entire list of things you know you want to do, and you just simply haven't done them yet? And I was like, there's no way in hell that I am the only person struggling with this. And we get so caught up in life and what it throws at us that we forget that we once also had dreams and ambitions and desires. And so it almost inevitably became my accountability partner too, because writing this book about this process I was going through of putting myself first made sure to keep me on that path to doing exactly that. Because I had a book to finish, I had the obligation to myself to finish, and now I was also getting to do something that I've always wanted to do.
I had a question for you. So what I do, what we do, Maureen Ryan Blake Media, is that I support people to take what's in here in their voice through video content and bring it out into the world. So, question I have is, in your journey, have you found, as you've worked through the work, right? Because it's only going through that you get through the whatever trials and tribulations and who we are to become the best of who we are. Have you found that when it becomes being on camera, being on video, being in front of people, that at that same time, embracing yourself as being your focal point of taking care of you first, your communication has improved, as well as your being on camera and video?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was, you fall in love with yourself for who you are. You meet yourself where you're at. You embrace everything that makes you imperfectly perfect. And my confidence boost has been above. I grew up playing sports, for example. So just to use that as an idea, I'm not in the best shape that I've ever been in my life. I'm not the most necessarily, like, there's aspects of my life that aren't at this peak, but I love me for where I'm at right now. And I am truly enjoying the journey and I'm having fun. So like a huge confidence boost with everything I do, everything I talk about. I get to talk about the exact results that I pushed myself through, and I get to be and show proof that when you finally start living the life with you at the center of it, not anybody or anything else, it's pure happiness. So yes, absolutely, I've gained a lot of confidence, a lot of happiness, and I love me for me.
Question. Okay, people that are sitting on the couch struggling, because people are hurting and struggling, how did you get started? What would be the first thing you would say to someone that says, I'm stuck?
Ooh, so that one's a hard one for me. I would have to say, I feel like you have to find a pain point. We don't change unless we have really like kind of a slap in the face or a hard realization, in my opinion. You're going to stay going down the path you're going until you make something, like a realization hits you that is more important than how you're living your life now. So when, for example, for me, I made that list, I realized like all of my dreams fell to the wayside. All these things that I've always wanted to do and still wanted to do kept not happening. And I let that anger that I've let everything in my life get in the way of what I truly wanted. That anger had to outweigh my desire to just keep going through the motions. So it's almost like I feel like you have to find something to have a bigger, deeper emotion that will initiate that change. Because unless you truly have that care or desire for something, you're going to keep doing the same thing you did. So it's almost like, I joke with people, it's like I almost made myself angry at myself. So angry that I knew that I had to change. And if that didn't happen, then I was just going to keep doing what I was doing. And so, like, whether it be anger or whether it be disbelief or that you're upset, like, you've got to figure out something that makes you realize, like, something's got to slap you in the face. And so when I wrote down the list of things that I just never accomplished, that, for a lack of better words, that pissed me off. And I felt so ashamed of myself for letting everybody else, and not necessarily ashamed, like, you work through that, but like, you have to get emotions set up within you to go in a different direction. If I wouldn't have had that hard slap in the face or felt those emotions of just being upset or ashamed or angry, I don't think I would have pivoted. I really don't. I would have just kept doing what I was doing. So you have to find your thing that's worth fighting for.
Okay, great. Now that moment, where were you? And describe that.
I remember I'm not a crier, but I cried a lot. You come from a place where, I sat there and I see all these things that I'm doing for other people. And I was the person who always, I think, wanted more for other people than they did themselves. And when you do that, I'm sitting here sacrificing my time, my energy, my effort for somebody else's dream all day, every day. That's the place that I was in. And then when I started realizing, why don't I have good friendships? Because they were one-sided. I would give the shirt off my back over and over again and never get that shirt back. But then people would have the audacity to start asking for the skin off my back. And here I am breaking myself day in and day out for people who were never still satisfied, who were never appreciative. And I'm still stuck here with 0 dreams fulfilled in my own life. So when I wrote down that list, I was very discouraged. And I've always been a motivated, driven person. And I wouldn't say my life was horrible because I took accountability. Like, I have a family, we have a business, and you have to make sacrifices, but everything was to a detriment of myself. And that had to change.
Okay, so people around you, as you took inventory and took action, what was their response, and how was that, and what did that look like?
So every person's going to be different. Not everybody's going to start this journey out with as bad of a circle surrounding them as I did. If you have your circle in line and you have really strong, positive, great people in your life, I commend you. That's incredible. But for the people who are realizing that none of their relationships in their life are reciprocated, I came from that. And as you start changing, people don't like change at all. And I call it selfish sacrifice because, like I said, you come to a point where you're like, okay, are you willing to sacrifice all of you for others? Or are you willing to sacrifice some people and some things to live the life you deserve? You have to ask yourself that question. Not everybody has to go. But for me, I did the math, and 95% of the people that were in my life 2 years ago are not anymore. And those are hard decisions. And that was because they didn't adapt to that change very well. They weren't supportive of it. And if they didn't support me becoming the better version of myself or following my dreams, why was I wasting my time? And that included friends and family. And so a lot of it came with, in my book, I kind of processed that out as how I placed people and how I got rid of them and what degrees they were allowed availability to me anymore. But the biggest one was seeing how they started reacting and how they aligned with who I was becoming. Did I picture them there? Was I going to have to carry them on my back to the destination I was going, or are they going to walk side by side with me? And unfortunately, I saw my back hurting really bad with the people that were surrounding myself. And then you had the guilt and the shame and the resentment because becoming a different person requires different actions. And the things that I was doing that benefited them at that time were no longer going to be of benefit to them. And that wasn't allowed.
What I'm thinking about, there is a statement that one of my amazing mentors says that we teach people how to treat us. With that, then we also get, and yet they are where they are, right? There's no changing people. However, adjusting, recommitting, and re-strategizing how to guide them how we want to be treated now. Who is that you're still giving that space for? How's that going?
So I had to set a new expectation line for myself. So it was ironic because I remember sitting there thinking, Miss Maureen, I was like, I have all these expectations so high up for myself. What kind of person I'm going to be for other people, how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to show up, what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put or attach my name to anything that I do that I'm not proud of. But here are my expectations up here, and my expectations for people around me were way down here. And then we wonder why it doesn't work. And so setting those expectations was what I did. I had to set new expectations. Like, hey, like I took accountability. Like you said, we basically tell people how they're allowed and not allowed to treat us. And I had to go through and set brand new expectations. And I'm not talking minuscule little changes. I'm talking like, hey, like, you were allowed to do this. You do this now, and we're going to have a lot of problems. And so it's probably best that we just separate. So I categorize people into 3 circles. I had my private circle, my personal circle, and my public circle. And I go through that in my book, and each one of those layers have a different set of expectations. But I will say that the biggest one that cut out majority of people, and it makes you realize how far away your expectations and your core values are from what expectation you're holding for those who are closest around you, and to see how far apart that gap is. I made my outermost circle, which is my public circle, they have to meet my core values. And so for me, that's total accountability. I operate as a team. I've always been like a very team friendly person. Like it's always for the greatest of the team. Operate as a team, prioritize punctuality, dedicated and loyal to almost everything I do. I have outstanding communication, and I grasp the badass mentality. Those spell out top dog, by the way. And but those are my core values. And if people weren't even meeting my core values, you're setting yourself up to be frustrated with every aspect of what they do. If they don't communicate, but that's one of the things that I hold as a priority, that's not going to work. If they're not dedicated and loyal, or can't show any dedication and loyal to me, why would I give that to them? So that was a big change for me, was when I had just the immediate, in order for you to be in my life at all, if you don't even share my core values, that was an absolute no-go for me. But that kicked out about 95% of the people, because I literally set no expectations for the people who were around me. So finding out what are your true core values, how you run your life, and making people that surround you match that, it's going to clean up a lot.
Okay. So question I have now, as being an international bestseller,
Thank you.
How has your life, I love that smile that just came across your face right then and there. That question was worth it. How has your life changed? How have you changed? And other people that have that on their list, what would you say to them?
So it has been life-changing. Your story, like, I have my story out there for the world to see, for it to touch people's lives in ways that I would have never had the ability to do that in any other form. You know, people are going to pick that up today. People are going to pick that up potentially 5 to 10 years from now. It's there and it's in existence, and I'm going to impact people even when I'm not necessarily aware of that. And that's powerful, and that's incredible, because I know how my journey and how much it impacted me. But the fact that I get to go out there and just by telling my story, hopefully put people on the same track to let them know, like selfishness is necessary, and you deserve it, and you deserve to live the life that you want. Like, nobody else or nothing else outside of that matters until you yourself are happy. And so anybody out there who's looking to write a book or to write their story, just the impact alone that it can have on even changing somebody's like one life. I've gotten a few messages from people who have read my book that tell me, you know, like, hey, I've only gotten through, I stayed up way later than I was supposed to, wasn't one comment I got, that reading your book. And another one was like, you have no idea how much I needed to hear this right now. And then to get feedback of people implementing the same things that I did and seeing their lives transform and change. Like, living your best life and living a happy life is not necessarily hard, but it's finding a place to start. And I'm able to hopefully help people do that. So yes, it's been incredible. And anybody who's going to write a book about anything, the impact is where it's at.
On that note, Top Dog Publishing is the your website. What does it look like to work with you? What's next, and how can people get in touch with you?
So Top Dog Publishing, that's my website. That's where I was able to host my book and everything. So I'm looking to, in the future, start moving towards an anthology. I would really love to get some powerhouses together to start looking at that. So that's a project that I'm going to have underway. I'm also going to be launching a program in the spring of 2025 called Top Dog Allies. And that's realistically going to be a program that kind of converts my book into an accountability platform. Because like I said, my book was my accountability partner to get me through all those steps. But if I were to change one thing about my journey, I would have loved having a group of people that were going through the same thing I was to bounce ideas off of, or to get a little bit more guidance, or, hey, I've been there, done that. I tried this. It didn't work. You should try this. It fast tracks things a little better. And those just accountability partners. Like when you have accountability partners in anything you do, it just makes it that much easier and that much faster. So Top Dog Allies will be launching basically a selfish program, if you want to call it. Probably start out like a selfish bitch program that aligns and puts into motion in a program that I can get on weekly calls with people and make sure that they're going step by step on what you need to do to really fulfill that journey. Because it's so hard to get caught up, because life's going to continue happening. It's not like we're like, hey, let's just pause all the crap that life's going to pile up on me over this next year, and let's just hope that it just lets me get through this program first and then it can restart. That's not how it happens. So it's so easy to get off track. It's nice to be able to build a program of a group of people who will help everybody stay on track and all be in the same positions and be able to support one another.
I love how you brought in the element of community. Community is always instrumental in not only making life amazing, but also about lifting us, holding us accountable, and, bringing the essence of our best, sharing it with others. So love that. Okay, so it's the best way to get in touch with you, the website, which is topdogpublishing.net, which the link is below. And will the website be updated as the new events come up, the new program gets launched?
Yes. So everything will be uploaded there as updates come, and as we continue to get closer and closer, we'll put some teasers out there and start letting people know what's to come next.
All right, great. Everybody, Katie Kaufman, the book is You Selfish Bitch, Cracking the Code from the Inside Out. And again, congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.